Hey everyone, so today we're going to be taking a look at what Korea has been cooking up for us on this patch so far. Since World is on the same patch as well, by the way, we might even see some of these builds or some of these picks in those games. I'm just going to jump straight into it today, cut to the chase. So Rengar with Dark Harvest is going to be our first one. And we're going to start with the legit pick, I guess, this one, and then onto something a little bit weirder for our second one. Rengar went from not even top 20 as a jungler to floating around top 5 mark, which is pretty good. But now almost all of them have swapped to Dark Harvest instead of Electrocute, which explains the shift to kind of like more mid to late game pressure. Rengar has actually played more top lane now than as a jungler, even though it sounds really weird, and it's either kind of a full damage build or actually more like a bruiser build or even a tank AP hybrid version using Grasp of the Undying. You're mega tanky, you still have really good damage, but you have this CC removal with your empowered W, which makes it really hard to actually kill you when you jump into a fight. Maybe you think I said AP by accident, but actually no, it's Cleaver, Visage, and then Zhonya's. It's a proper weird like 3-item build, but you have a lot of healing. You last forever in a team fight, you're never going to die. You still have good damage and you're still pretty tanky as well. It's kind of like the best of everything. Anyway, this pick though is a lethality jungle Rengar though. So Dark Harvest and Dustblade, Ghostblade, they work really well together. They have pretty good synergy already. If you throw a Storm Razor in, it gets absolutely ridiculous, but they have a lot of AD and a lot of arm pen. Basically, Rengar is more dangerous than before because Dark Harvest is really going to start to hurt. The AD jumps into the Dark Harvest and then the arm penetration makes Dark Harvest do a lot more damage. Rengar still really hurts anyway. When you combine everything together, that is when you have a one shot, and all you have to really do for this is farm a jungle camp, get the stack, and then gank afterwards. Other than that, there is nothing different at all. It can also give you a little bit more of a burst later over the fight, I guess. Like if you do one shot somebody with your ultimate as you jump in, which you probably will do, you pick up their soul, you get another burst of Dark Harvest damage for the next target where Electrocute would have been on cooldown. Aatrox has two sides to this. Okay, he was buffed a little while ago, but it's Aatrox mid and it's Aatrox with a Ghostblade rush. So mid is a faker pocket pick really. He plays a lot of Irelia, a lot of Aatrox, and a lot of Kled basically. He does play other stuff as well, but those three are kind of his core. It's the same reasons you take Irelia mid lane, like strong laner here, not punish as hard, scales up pretty well, good mobility, good kill pressure. If you get near a mage, they're pretty much dead. Ghostblade really does boost his win rate by a mile though. It's so much better as a first item. Not only does it give you the mobility to chase people down with your Q, which is really good, or like escape ganks I guess. All your damage is physical and it has good AD ratios as well. So the AD buffs it up, but the arm penetration makes it actually do a lot more when you dive in and you hit someone. Your ultimate also gives you 20 to 30% bonus AD, so the more AD you have from items, the more damage that's going to give you as well. This build turns him into a massive issue, to be honest. As if he wasn't bad enough already, he'll run through your team and he'll smash any champion that hasn't bought any armor, like a mid laner for example. Not many of them are going to get Ninja Tabby, which is much better than top lane. He is also a really good counter to stuff like Kassadin. Cass really wants to go against AP champions with that shield, right? Not an AD bruiser right in his face smashing him. It's not just Kassadin actually, Akali as well. Akali does not have enough damage to kill him twice basically, but also Aatrox Q, like it's AoE. It doesn't need to target anybody, so he can smash her through the obscure as well. It's not much of a surprise that Korea is trying to abuse Vayne after she gets buffed. Whenever she breaks a 50% win rate over there, you know she's pretty beastly actually. She's now the 5th most popular AD and still her win rate has increased with it, which is a pretty good sign. She's one of the best late game choices that we have, but if you're good with her, you can make her work early as well. All you really need is Blade King and a Rage Blade. That applies your Silver Bolt damage a lot more, right? And that was actually buffed a little while ago as well. So once you have that maxed out, it's even more damage. Also, Blade King, the percentage damage, that will be applied more by Rage Blade, but that percentage actually applies life steal. So when you're applying it more, you heal for more and you'll survive longer in a fight. Finally, Phantom Dancer is like finishing off your core. That deals with everybody jumping on your face. Reduce damage, you can kite a little bit easier. It's not Glass Cannon Vayne build anymore, but you have really high DPS. You just don't die as easily. You can run whatever keystone you like, to be honest. A lot of pros are running Lethal Tempo right now. Most run Fleet Footwork actually though, and some run Press the Attack. It kind of depends on you. If you weren't sure, the buff they're abusing is lowering her Q cooldown early ranks. Even with that though, Korea actually maxes their Q out normally first before swapping over to their W afterward. It's because you get the cooldown even lower and you can trade, you can fight more, you can stealth more as well with your ultimate, which for Korea is going to be more important than raw damage, especially like actually surviving a fight. She might not do amazing against some champions like a Misfortune or something, but she beats Kai'Sa over in Korea actually, so maybe that's a good counter for that. She's really popular at the moment. It follows a similar pattern anyway across the game, but she does way more single target damage than Kai'Sa with this on-hit style build. Pyke was also buffed this patch actually. They let him execute at 250 health now at level 6 instead of 200, and I felt this ram up my backside this patch, and trust me, it really hurts. This is a bit different. He's very, very good at high ranks as well, but in Korea, when you get to like bronze and silver and a little bit of gold, he just wins so much. Probably like top 10 out of every champion for solo queue, which is really impressive at that elo bracket, especially when he's not that easy to play. He's just so deadly in the lane phase now though. This is what it is. One hook and you're probably dead. And that is before level 6 as well. After level 6 with his ultimate, you're definitely dead. To be fair as well, at lower ranks, it is a split between lethality and the tank build. Lethality is way more carry for sure. It's a lot more damage in your kit as well. The tank build is what higher rank players will go for though. It makes his utility side way better. Now obviously Pyke cannot gain health, right? But he can reduce the incoming damage with armor and magic resist. So you give him some cooldown reduction to dive around more. You have resistances as well. He'll survive for way too long in a fight. It's not just the kill potential, even though that is really good, but with the tank build, he'll dip in a tank damage, then dive out with the stealth, heal it all back up with his visage, come back, and you have to try and kill him again. I feel like a decent Pyke will just kind of like try and engage and try to kill you, right? That's their main focus. But a really good Pyke will waste your time in a fight by ducking in and out, if that makes sense. I know for this one, you might be thinking, what are you talking about? Darius is always played. He's not new OP or anything like that, but Korea has a very different way of playing him, a much more like bigger balls way of playing him. They barely ever get Black Cleaver. They don't take teleport either. They run Ghost and Flash, and they run the full hand build. We talked about it ages ago, but it's come back a lot. It's the build with a crap ton of damage. It's not just about his bleed or his ultimate or anything. He'll legit press W and chunk your health bar down with that sheen. He was also buffed this patch. His W uses 10% more total AD, and his E gives 5% more arm penetration. The reason that is so good right now is because you used to have rank 3 W to get 10% more, and rank 2 E to get 5% more arm pen. So it's giving you higher ranks of abilities effectively for the lane phase, making you way more deadly and giving you a higher chance to snowball, which is ideal for the damage build. Darius's win rate went from about 40th in the top lane last patch to 20th so far this patch after a couple of days. Considering how much like people play him right now, that's actually really good. Apart from Trinity Force, Xerix to like buff his damage, they sometimes also run Phase Rush to make that even more nuts. It sounds really weird, but this is hitting an enemy with 3 separate attacks within 3 seconds, which gives you loads of move speed and also 75% slow resistance. A lot of people actually forget about the slow stuff, but basically if he has this, you cannot slow him down to kite him around, and you cannot run away from him. And you know how deadly Darius is when he's on top of you. This just kind of guarantees that. Malzahar might seem a little bit weird, but he's even better than he was before now. And Liandry's was buffed this patch, and that's most likely going to be why. This item is nuts now. It's so much damage. When you look at the buff, it says 1% has gone to 1.5 and 2% has gone to 2.5. Half a percentage of damage, that's not really going to be a lot, right? Actually, though, there's 2 parts when you think about it. Like for someone like Mouse, who can constantly proc this over and over with damage over time, I guess it really is a big buff. He sticks his E on somebody and the burn just takes care of the rest. The second part is it's not actually 2.5%, it's 7.5 total now, because it applies 2.5% every second for 3 seconds total per spell. So even though it reads like it's not that much, half a percentage, it's actually a lot of damage, plus it's max percentage health. Imagine if a tank, if a Cho'Gath has like 4,000 health or something, that's like 300 damage extra just on the burn from one spell. That is a lot of damage. He's already quite a good counter actually to a lot of mobile champions like Irelia, Yasuo, LeBlanc. He presses R, he keeps them in place, he burns them down. Like there's nothing you can really do apart from buying a Quicksilver Sash, which is dumping gold away from damage. The spell shield is also a natural safety net in this meta. You can push endlessly without really any risk from range. It's a pretty easy lane to play, to be fair, even against difficult matchup. I don't think Liandry's was actually that big of a buff unless you can apply it constantly over time, where the percentage buff really does add up, which unfortunately is exactly what Malzahar can do. He was already pretty good before that. He was already meta, but he's now just better and a good counter to a lot of aggro flashy champions that people like to play. Thresh was also buffed and probably over buffed. I'm starting to notice a pattern, I bet now, probably during this video. So they gave him a lower Q mana cost and a lower starting cooldown on his hook as well. Both like not major stuff, but pretty good. He can like hard win lane now a lot easier. This is the big part. If he misses hook, you have a very small window to punish before he can do it again and look for another one. He's also not as likely to run out of mana, so you can't wait for that either. Like you actually literally have to fight him while his hook is down and dodge it. Otherwise, you can't really do anything. I think Thresh is probably the best solo queue support you can play right now, at least in career. It looks like it. He does a bit of everything, but his main way to get stuff done is up more often. Partly why he's so good in career as well is because more people max their E rather than their Q, whereas I think in NA and EU most are maxing Q, right? The point is, if you do that, your Q starts 4 seconds lower now, but it goes back to normal rank 5. So if you max your E first, you're effectively having a better hook cooldown until like level 12 or something like that. You get to have the extra damage from ranking up your E, the trading, and more chances to fight that way and stuff, so it makes the most out of it. Okay, so the last pick of the video is going to be Dark Harvest Elise. Another buff here, but it wasn't like crazy good. It was just a better E and W cooldown in spider form. Better farming, more playmaking basically. More people started to play her after that, and she also wins more as well, so that's a really good sign. But what we want to talk about is Dark Harvest, and it sounds really weird, right? Taking an early game jungler who falls off and sticking a scaling keystone on them. It doesn't make any sense. It's the same as Nilly though. Dark Harvest will change the magic damage for Elise. It will scale with the AP that you build, and she does grab like a full damage build. She does also get a good amount of magic pen, which makes Dark Harvest bypass more magic resist and do even more damage. It also makes her one-shot combo more deadly, and that is what you play for, really. Cheap Shot is a good example. It's a rune that they take now most of the time, and that is more damage while they're in Cocoon. Elise has a really good early game win rate up until about 30 minutes, and then it really tanks, but that is including Electrocute as well. So I'd imagine Dark Harvest is slightly worse early, but probably better later. So there are 8 picks that are much better over in Korea. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know which is your favorite or anything new you've noticed so far down in the comment section. Thank you for watching, but for now, I will leave you with the robot.